Thank you, General, for being here today. I want to talk a little bit, I know I sound sometimes like a one-note chorus here about SIGAR and reconstruction efforts and accountability for that money. But what I'm really concerned about in the coming months is that the SIGAR, John Sopko, has indicated to you that no more than 21% of Afghanistan will be accessible to civilian oversight going forward. Now, that's a 47% reduction since 2009. So we had eyes and ears on the majority of Afghanistan during a time period that hundreds and hundreds and, in fact, billions of dollars of American taxpayer money was being spent to build things. We're only going to have eyes and ears in 21% of the country right now. Do you agree with that assessment, that our ability to oversee any kind of ongoing work is going to be severely curtailed and limited under the current scenario?
Senator, I may be able to make you feel a little bit better about that. In 2015, and I'll speak from the DOD perspective, we'll have 32 projects ongoing in 2015. All but 5 of those projects will fall in areas where we will be able to provide proper oversight. 5 projects will fall outside of that range. And what we're working with the State Department now is to ensure that we have Afghans that can help us provide oversight and ensure that we provide the kind of stewardship that I know you're addressing.
Well, I haven't seen none of us have seen the OCO funding. Of those 31 projects that you're going to be working on in 2015, is there going to be any more money requested for any of that work in this coming OCO budget?
Senator, that is largely, it will be in 2015. Some of that is 2015 money. So yes, that part of those projects would be there. The projects in total are somewhere between $600 and $700 million. These are the last 32 projects that were part of the original program of record for Afghan forces. So when I talk about projects, they're virtually all either Afghan National Police or Afghan National Army projects that are, again, the backside of the program of record that was outlined a couple of years ago.
So there have been no new projects started this calendar year?
Senator, there is no projects now that we're starting that aren't part of the program of record. That's absolutely true. No new starts.
Okay. And before I move on to another area quickly, I have asked some of the leadership, I think it's really important that we get a clear-eyed assessment of how well this works. There has just been an assumption from day one, and I have great respect for General Petraeus's guide for a counterinsurgency effort, but I'm not aware that there has ever been any data or analysis that has really said that the military getting involved in large-scale infrastructure projects works in terms of the counterinsurgency. It certainly, you know, I mean, it may have helped along the margins in Iraq, but most of that money was wasted because most of those projects are not operating now. The healthcare center is never opened. The water park is in crumbles. A lot of the grid was blown up during the process. This notion of building major infrastructure during a conflict and the security challenges we have, and we know some of our money went to the bad guys for guarding that one highway we were building, and the whole blurring of the lines between the State Department and the Defense Department as to whose job this is and when and how. I really think we need to do a clear-eyed assessment now that we have both Iraq and Afghanistan to look at. I'm hopeful, and if you read the Special Inspector General for Iraq's final report, there's some real work to do here, I think, on the part of the military. And I want to know, is there some discussion about that there will be a reevaluation of the effectiveness of this strategy?
Senator, is, and I did hear General Dempsey's comments the other day, and I'd associate myself with those. I think at the end of a decade of war, it's fair to say that it's very, very important that we go back and take a look at the lessons learned and make sure we document those now while they're fresh.
Okay. We've got some problems with property accountability in Afghanistan. We know that we have 26 open investigations for missing property that include weapons and weapons systems with a total of almost $590 million. that the IG has found all these problems over there in the two places where we're trying to retrofit and account for all the equipment. Do you feel like you've gotten a handle on that?
Senator, I do. I mean, we have spent the last year, and frankly, even before I arrived, trying to ensure that, again, this is part of lessons learned from even the Iraq experience. As we conducted a retrograde and redeployment in Iraq, I think we learned a lot of lessons, and I believe we're applying those lessons learned now in Afghanistan as we get accountability in the retrograde and redeployment process.
Well, I'll have some specific questions for the record about what has changed since the IG took a look. It's a little worrisome to me since I've been at the yards that did the same thing in Iraq, and I thought we had really kind of turned the corner on that. I'm disappointed that the IG would find these kinds of problems after what we did learn in Iraq, so I'll follow up on that. And finally, I just want to mention detainees. I understand the Afghan government released individuals with ties to attacks to coalition forces. And does the BSA, does the bilateral security agreement enable our forces to continue to detain and remove dangerous individuals from the battlefield should the U.S. Keep an enduring presence in Afghanistan? It's very troubling to me they released those people, and I think it's something that we should all be very worried about. And I want you to tell me you are comfortable that if you catch people that are trying to kill our men and women in battle, that we can keep them captured and that the Afghanistan government does not have the ability to let them go.
Senator, first I share your concern with that, and clearly protecting the force is my responsibility, and I take that very seriously. And I was greatly concerned with the release of those 65 individuals. And I would say that the viability of our presence post-2014 is going to be determined by a number of factors, one of which will be an effective regime to address detainees, not only to ensure that those individuals that are a threat to the force and to the Afghan people are kept off the battlefield, but also that we would have access to the intelligence associated with those individuals in order, again, to protect the force and conduct effective counterterrorism operations. So with the new administration, I think that's something that has to be arranged and has to be very much a part of the bilateral security agreement and the other arrangements that we have with the next government.
But we don't have it now.
We have an arrangement, Senator, but the governor of Afghanistan did not observe that agreement.
Very disappointing. Thank you.